Financial freedom mindset. What's up, my people? Today, I want to talk about ownership and how important it is to own. That we have to make it a duty that we be owners. Like that got to be our top priority when it comes to at least at the light at the end of the tunnel. For all that work that you putting in for the last 20 to 30 years, you got to look back and own something. Don't make sense for us to be working that hard and that long to not own something. It came to my mind because I was thinking about, let's say if I wanted to go to the bank and get a like a loan for me to start a business or something like that. What they will ask for is collateral, something that I can bring to the table that they say, okay, Mr. Adams, we're gonna give you, I'm just using for example, $10,000. What can we hold that you have that value? $10,000? Well, more than $10,000. Cause whatever it has to be, it has to value more than $10,000 for them to for them to loan me 10,000. So whatever it is, it have to value. Let's say it value 15,000. I'm looking like, what do I own? And you have to own it. You can't be doing payments. You have to own it. You have to be the rightful owner. The title, the deed, the certificate that says that you are the owner. And I said, what do I have of value that I own? I have the stuff that average people own, furniture, clothes, electronics, shoes, the regular stuff, game systems, stuff that, I am the owner, but there's nothing of value. Those things that can only help me to pawn. I can pawn those at the pawn shop and get a loan. Well, when you're talking about handling grown folks business, big business, you need $10,000, $20,000. You have to come to the table at a bank or a loan company with some real good collateral, such as they want you to have equity in your home, bonds, stocks. If you have the cash in the bank, they'll loan it to you, and they'll put like a lien on the cash on your bank. They just want to know that you'll be able to pay them back. Some people don't want to use their own cash. They'd rather use other people's money, which a lot of people do. That's the best thing to do with credit cards. If you going to invest into something, use the credit card. Use their money to make money, but just make sure you pay them back and you keep the benefits that you make off of that to yourself. But like jewelry, gold, these are stuff that hold value, that hold big value that you could use as collateral. And the reason I stress that, because majority of us, not all, but majority of us only own stuff that we can pawn, including myself. I am not the owner of these houses. The banks are the owner. I am the buyer. Like I was saying in a lot of videos, I just want people to put it in their mind. Just because you bought a house don't mean you own the house. Until you finish paying off those payments, they're the owner of the house. You could pay that house, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you could pay that house for 28 years and you got 2 years left. It doesn't matter. The rightful owner can come back and take that house and kick you out and resell it. The same thing for your car payments. You got a 5-year term. It don't matter if you've been paying 4 years and a half. If you miss those last 6 months, they will send a repo company to come get it back. So the faster you pay these people off, the better. That's what's my motto. And I hope that we could all have this motto. That's how serious it is. Because you don't want to waste 4.5 years paying for a car and you're almost there. And God forbid something just happened. You lose your job, family illness, someone pass away, or the engine of the car. Anything can happen. It's just life. That's how life goes. So I try to stay ahead of life. So by the time life try to come around and slap me in my face and say, your job don't need you no more, or let's say my job let me go, I'm like, cool, I can survive for a little bit until I find another job. That's how I like it. That's how I want to continue to play it. I like to stay ahead of them, well, ahead of life, so life don't catch up. And you don't want to be like the average person, and when they get hit, because it will come, and you know somebody. If you have never experienced it, you know somebody that fell into a bad financial situation. Because most of us, we live in check to check, and there's always something. And then you look back and you're like, man, I can't believe this happened. This always happened to me. I'm tired of saying that. I'm staying ahead of it. Yes, it's going to happen. Oh man, this happened to me. Guess what? I pay whatever I gotta pay, fix it, and I move on. But anyway, going back to the ownership. So that's why I stress to, if you can get property, land, If you want to do stocks, trusts, bonds, I can only tell you from my personal experience, I will go with land and property. Stress to be the owners of these things and stress to our kids how important it is to be the owners. We go from rent to a buyer to ownership. I understand, and again, everything takes time. I'm not saying jump into a buyer and it's easy. No, it's not easy. Everything takes time. Even where I got to, this took years, and I ain't even the owner yet. The mortgage, the bank still own these properties. I'm not the owner until I pay them every dime. But in the meanwhile, I still got to keep fighting and keep going. But everything takes steps. So that for the average person, when they leave their parents' house, they go pay rent. So I'm saying let's go from being renters to being a buyer of property or land to be the owner of that property and land. And I want to stress to you, when you own it, just to put it in your mind, remember, this is yours forever. As long as this country is up, as long as God didn't come back for his planet, as long as nothing happened, you're the owner forever. As long as you pay them taxes now. You the owner. Then your kids the owner. Then your grandkids the owner. Then your great grandkids the owner. You can make it happen. All it's going to take is you to stop and sacrifice and say, man, let me start this off for the continuing generations. I'm stopping. I'm like, yo, I'm finna own this thing. I'm finna work hard. It don't matter if 95% of the people around me saying, Troy, you crazy. You can't do it. It's a lot of work, man. You overworking. You doing this. Cool. But for my kids and for their kids, if they stay on the same track, they ain't got to work hard like me. They're going to reap the benefits of my hard working. For a lot of people, their kids are going to have to work hard because we didn't work hard. And unfortunately for the kids, if we don't change our mindset, they're going to have to work hard. And they're going to have to do what I have to do because nobody was in a position to do it for me. So I'm in the position to do it for my kids. The only thing is, if I'm going to decide to do it or I'm not going to decide to do it. Majority of people are not going to decide to do it. They're going to want their kids to do it. I've decided to do it. I don't want my kids to do it. I want them to have the opportunity to go and have less debt and bills as possible. So for a majority of us, it's it's rent and it's the car payment. If you can knock those two off, man, you could really enjoy life. And that's what I want to do for the continuous generation. In my head, like I said in another video, I hope that my grandkids will be like, man, thank grandpa for doing that. Thank grandpa for sacrificing. I'm going to do exactly what my grandpa did and my grandma did. They sacrificed. Me and my family going to sacrifice. We're going to rent out that property that grandma and grandpa bought, and we're going to keep it going. Or if you have a business, you keep the business going. Because with a business, as you're the owner of the business, you can even help people. That's why you see some people that own businesses and they're friends. Just by knowing that person who owned the business, you have an opportunity to feed your family. Like my friend who has the dealer. Anytime somebody want, and because he owns the dealer, we have access to stuff that normal people don't have access to. Car wise, my auntie who has the restaurant. God forbid if something go wrong, let's say I lose my job tomorrow and I really needed to work. I could go to my auntie and say, hey, auntie, can you give me some hours and this and that? If she have it, she could be like, yeah, Troy, come here, come do this. I'll show you how to do that. My uncle and my mom that have the a wash house. If it's really slow and I ain't working, I can go down there. Hey, Troy, yeah, come just sit at the wash house and do this and that. I'm allowed to make money and he's allowed to use my labor because I'm not doing anything. It's better for both of us to reap it. We helping each other. But it's good to be in that position where you can help people. So I'm just putting it and suggesting in your mind to think about it if you haven't thought about it. And if you have thought about it and you're looking for a sign, I'm telling you, this is it. Sit down with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your spouse, and talk about this. Ownership is very important. It's nothing like owning. When you own, you can pass it down. As long as you're doing payments on anything, you cannot pass it down because you are not the owner. And you're working too hard and too long not to be owning things. So not to say we're doing nothing wrong. Maybe we're not thinking about it because on television and the news and the majority of the stuff that we're listening to, they're not telling us this part. They're doing it. They're telling us to spend, 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 but they're doing this part. They're owning things. They're owning networks, teams. Even you could break this down in a wider aspect. Even look at the NFL or NBA. We're playing the basketball, but who are the owners? You don't even see them. These people are they're talking about ownership. They're going to pay you, and they're paying you a lot of money. But if he can afford to pay you that much money, how much is he really making as the owner? So I love when I see people that own things. You're a rapper and you signed to a record label and he's paying you this on this deal. How much is he owning? He's the owner of the record label. I'd rather go get my own. I know it's a lot more work and it sounds easier than said than done, but I'd rather be independent and get my money on my own. Then I can get people and we can all do it. Imagine if your family and all your friends thought like that, the amount of power that we can have. If all the friends around you say, man, let's own something. I'm to the point like, man, I don't care what it is. When your tax return comes, let's say all my friends was on the same page, all my close friends. I'm like, yo, tax return come, the average, I don't know how much we get when you got kids and stuff. Maybe you get like $5,000 back, $4,000 or something like that. It depends how much you make and if you have kids or not. But everybody could be able to put in at least $500. Say, man, let's put $500. All of us put it together. Let's invest in Bitcoin. If we lose, we lose. We tried something. That's what we need to be. But if we gain, next year come around, let's put $500 again. Your family, man, I have a big family. And sometimes I'm like, man, if we were just on the same page. I'm talking about the older generation. It's a lot of, my grandfather had a lot of kids. I can't even tell you. Probably close to 30. And great grandkids. You see how big that family is? And at the end of the day, as a family in a whole, we don't own nothing. I'm talking about the whole. I'm not talking about individual. Everybody doing their own thing and it's great. But if everybody did their own thing and then said we're going to do this for a family and have some big land and build, we can do a lot. Like my family they have property and stuff in Jamaica. And if all the kids here, if we was on the same page, it wouldn't even take that much out of our, let's say it took $1,000 each year to send over there from each one of us. Let's say 500 each year to build more and more and put value on that property. And we have a great foundation for our kids and kids. Never sell it. It's something that could be done, but it takes for one person to put that on their back. It's a lot. But if everybody do a little bit, it's easier. But I understand everybody different. Our mentality are different. So sometimes I learned you got to walk alone, and I get it. It's not a fairy tale world. But anyway, again, stressing ownership. If you're doing the car payments, like I said, try to tackle that baby, pay that car off. That's your car. Now you could pass it and give it away to somebody. If you got some land, pay that baby off. Just pay them taxes. Now you could pass that off to your kids. Even if you don't have kids, you could pass that off to a next generation. Make your niece or your nephew or your little cousin. You could bless somebody in their life. It don't necessarily have to be your kids if you don't have any. Just think about it as a non-selfish act, man, to help somebody else, to give them a head start, a great head start. And get that property. You're going from a renter to a buyer to a owner. When you get that deed in your hand, now you could pass that baby down. And like I told you, highlight that little bit of sacrifice. I'm not saying a little bit. It might be 10, 15 years. But that 15 years could be a blessing to your family forever. For as long as this country is standing, or wherever you purchase your property, as long as it's standing, your kids, your great grandkids, your grandkids can be blessed off of you taking that stand for ownership. And then they could make whatever you own better. So again, I'm just saying to spark your mind. If you didn't think about it, we're thinking about it. Maybe we didn't know. Now that we know, when you know better, you do better. Other people do it. They're not better than us. We're not better than them. But we got to change our mindset. Once we change our mindset, we could keep it going. So I believe we can do it. I believe in you. Don't make me believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Have that good conversation with your spouse or your family, whoever you closest with, your friends. But don't be working hard, man, working 20 years, 30 years, and you look back and you ain't got nothing. You don't want to be that person. It happens, and life happens, but if we can avoid it, let's avoid it. All right, my people, next time.